Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Central Indiana sports fans. Whenever you've tuned in to the Central Indiana Sports Report, producer Susie and I welcome you. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, and this is my new podcast, Greg and His Friends Talk Sports. Every day, 10 to 30 minutes, my friends and I talk about what Central Indiana sports fans are talking about. Coming up, it was a huge weekend in local sports, and we have all of it for you. Big win for Purdue Saturday evening. I talked to Jake Dunn about that. Coming up, IU lost Sunday afternoon at Illinois. My friends Grant Shouse and Mike Hutsell joined me to talk about that. And we have tons of high school postseason action to get to. After all of that, Grant Shouse returns for our Sunday conversation. He covered the regional at Marion for us on Saturday. We'll talk to him about the girls basketball semi-states, which were drawn up just a little while ago. Before we get to all of that, we have a fever report coming up later tonight. Pacers report on Monday, and the NBA All-Star game is tonight, and I won't watch a single minute of it. There's also a lot of Olympics going on. We'll have that for you later in the week, but there was way too much this weekend locally to talk about any of that. Thanks so much for joining us. My friends and I will be back tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the day after that. IU lost 71-51 in Champaign against number 8 Illinois on Sunday. I talked about it with Grant Shouse and Mike Hutsell. Well, you guys kind of nailed this in the pregame. Didn't have a lot of expectations going into this game, and man, was it ugly.
They just did not play well on Sunday. It's unfortunate because you've started to see this team, I feel like, turn the corner a little bit and start to play well, and just couldn't get it done against Illinois.
I just don't know if he can come up with a team that matches up worse for Indiana than Illinois right now. They can shoot. They're huge. They destroy you on the offensive glass. They're tough to defend. They score at will. The thing that happened today that Illinois hasn't done well is they defended. Indiana only scoring 20 points in the second half is really discouraging to see after the way they've played over the last few games. Like we said, not a huge expectation going in, and it certainly played out as I feared it would.
I wasn't at all shocked by the result, to be honest with you. You mentioned the matchup problem. Indiana doesn't have one guy that matches up well against anybody on Illinois. They don't have anyone who can match up with Kylan Boswell or one of the Avicic guys. It is a matchup problem. You hope you don't play them again in the Big Ten tournament, because I think that is what's going to happen to you again. Illinois is a dang good team. I mean, they beat Purdue at Mackey. They are quietly one of the best teams right now in the country, and Indiana just could not get it done today. And I'm not going to go to say I was frustrated by it. I kind of expected it going in, but this team is really playing good basketball. You can't afford to lose any mid today, though, down the stretch, especially when you have Purdue and Michigan State coming up.
Realistically, we had to expect Illinois was going to play well today. That's too good of a team to lose back-to-back like they did, and they were just two heartbreaking games, two just really, really close games that they lost, both in overtime at Michigan State and then at home against Wisconsin. So you knew you were going to get the best of the best out of Illinois today, and hey, that's what happened. You know, Indiana plays Illinois 10 times this year. Illinois may win all 10, but 63-10, Brett Bielema. That's all I want to say.
And we'll talk to you guys more about IU Purdue coming up this week. Your initial thoughts heading into it, though.
Purdue's got its mojo back, and that's a little scary going to Mackey. So Indiana gets another little bit of a break here to get its legs back. Doesn't play again until Friday night. It's definitely going to be another tough contest. Purdue's going to I'm sure they've had this one circled since the game last month. So Indiana's has the win streak in the series right now, and 56-3, Barry Odom.
More on this game on Tuesday's IU report. Of course, we'll be spending a lot of time looking ahead to IU Purdue on Friday with Grant and Mike and with Jake Dunn, who's coming up in just a second. They also talk some IU football as well. On Saturday, big win for Purdue, not just that they got another road victory, but back-to-back at number 7 Nebraska and now Iowa. Also the way that they did it, handling the Hawkeyes from the jump, dominating every aspect of the 78-57 victory. Jakari Harris and CJ Cox had 14 points apiece to lead the balanced effort. Braden Smith 5 points and 12 assists, giving him 980 for his career, which is 5th in the history of college basketball. Trey Kaufman-Renn 12 points and 12 rebounds. The Boilermakers had 20 assists on 25 baskets, out-rebounded the Hawkeyes by 8, and got 31 points from its bench. Let's talk to Jake Dunn about the win and Tuesday's showdown with number 2 Michigan. All right, Jake, I was just talking about Tuesday's game against Michigan. That's a big one, but it wouldn't have mattered if Purdue hadn't gone and taken care of business against Iowa.
This was certainly a business trip, and I think Purdue treated it accordingly. They didn't just survive this trip here to Iowa. They really kind of suffocated Iowa. They led by as many as 27 at one point, and for the entire game, Iowa led for 16 seconds total. So it's pretty impressive, especially in a sold-out Carver Hawkeye Arena. Purdue kind of turned it into a practice game.
And you come away from the Nebraska game a little concerned the way they let the game get away, but throw this game on top of that, winning at Nebraska, winning at Iowa. They're a top 10 team again.
I definitely think so. And a big part of this game here was kind of the sophomore surge, if you will, from Jakari Harris and CJ Cox. Jakari Harris really kind of provided that spark in the first half. 14 points, 20 minutes, 3 steals, no turnovers, and had a pretty nasty, and one dunk that kind of set the tone physically. And then CJ Cox in the second half, he hit 4 threes in 4 minutes, and that really kind of blew it open for good. So he finished with 14 points in 20 minutes. So this is just the second time that both have scored in the double-digit figures in the same game, and they just complement each other pretty well, as we've talked about before. After some of these games, rebounding was really the engine here. Yes. Purdue rebounded percent for the defensive rebounding percentage, 15 second chance points, and they were +8 on the glass. So a big part of that was Trey Kaufman-Renn. He set the tone physically, but also had 12 points and 12 rebounds. And I thought Oscar Clough played fairly well too for this game. So they were finally able to really, and they finally were able to kind of lock Iowa down here, especially Bennett Sturts.
And Braden Smith, I remember one point in the game, they said, he has 0 assists so far. And, of course, he ended up with 12 and now has 980 for his career. He is 3 assists from the top 5 all-time, 20 assists from being the 5th to have 1,000 for his career. Amazing.
And at this, with this 12 assist game, this raises his season average to 8.88 assists a game. So the new projected record game would be postseason game number 5. So roughly around the round of 32 is when that would be broken. So it would be huge to do that if he sticks with his career assists per game record. He would need 8 postseason games. So that would be essentially, making it to the national championship game would be really kind of where you'd probably break that.
And you and I will talk more about Michigan on Tuesday as a preview, Jake, but your initial thoughts going into that one?
Michigan's going to be tough to beat. They're going to be the new number 1 tier team in the country after Arizona lost in overtime to Texas Tech. So I think hopefully Purdue can come in and knock them off, but they're going to be a good team. Really good forwards and some pretty good guards as well. So I think Purdue definitely can win, especially if they play as well as they have been here lately. But certainly going to be a battle. So my eyes will be glued to the screen. That's for sure.
No doubt. I think it comes down to which team shoots better. I think it's a pretty even matchup, and it comes down who's better on Tuesday.
I think so as well. And we've seen some teams like Iowa come in and kind of shoot lights out, at least for a half in Mackey Arena. Iowa State kind of did the same thing early in the season. So certainly going to have to make sure that Purdue's not giving up easy looks, making Michigan earn all their points. Like I said, I think Purdue definitely can win, but it'll be tough for sure.
And again, Jake will be back on Tuesday to break down the number 2 Wolverines against the number 13 Boilermakers, but it'll probably be number 1 against number 8 or something like that after the polls come out on Monday. Rest of the Big Ten, the games that mattered over the weekend, Michigan beat UCLA 86-56, 46-18 in the second half. Yikes. Nebraska 68-49 over Northwestern, and Virginia beat Ohio State 70-66. Sunday around Indiana, Valpo beat Indiana State 76-75. Bradley Whitaker hit a free throw line jumper with 8 seconds left, and then Anel St. Bernard's attempt at the buzzer skipped off of the rim, was so close for the Sycamores. And Purdue Fort Wayne beat IU Indy 83-78. 31 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds for Corey Hadnot in the win. And later this Sunday, Butler hosts Seton Hall at 6 on FS1. In women's college basketball, IU lost 76-34 at UCLA on Sunday afternoon. The number 2 Bruins now 25-1 overall, 15-0 in the Big Ten. The Hoosiers fall to 14-13 and have a week off before hosting Oregon on Sunday. Hopefully that'll give star Shesky some time to heal up. She was only able to play 7 minutes today. On Saturday, Kiki Smith had 17 points and 6 assists in the Boilermakers' 72-57 win over Rutgers. Their 12th win overall and their 4th Big Ten win of the season. Ball State's 6th straight win since their only MAC loss of the season, 82-67 over Bowling Green at Worthen. Bree Salenbean, 11 for 18 from the field, 32 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, and 2 steals for the Cardinals in the win. They're at Buffalo on Wednesday, but the big one is a showdown on Saturday with Miami. We'll talk more about that later this week with our Ball State guys. And Notre Dame is playing North Central State as we are recording. We'll have a final score for you on Mondays. Greg and his friends talk sports. And some NAIA games of note on the men's side. Number 2 Grace completed its sweep of number 9 Indiana Wesleyan with an 83-73 win in Winona Lake on Saturday. And they will now win the Crossroads. And in the women's Crossroads, Marion took control with a 66-58 win over St. Francis. The Knights now the likely champions on the women's side. Now to some high school postseason results, and a reminder, Grant Shouse is coming up after all of the high school results. He'll be talking to some girls basketball. Carmel won its 40th consecutive state championship in girls swimming, beating co-runners-up Fishers and Fort Wayne Carroll by 98.5 points. Zionsville was 4th, Penn 5th. Locally, Noblesville finished 18th, Mount Vernon 19th, Hamilton Heights 31st, and University 39th. Yes, Susie, I said 40 state championships in a row.
Crazy.
National record. Your state champions from Carmel, junior Emily Wolf won the 200 and 500 freestyle. Sophomore Ellie Clark won the 200 IM and 100 backstroke, and senior Molly Sweeney the 100 butterfly and the 100 breaststroke. Carmel also won the 200 medley relay with Sweeney, Clark, Sophia Floyd, and Leah Bosch. The stars of the show on Saturday were from Fort Wayne Carroll. Maris Williams led a 1-2 finish of Charger juniors in the 50 freestyle, and then reversed the two with Kate Fetters winning the 100 freestyle and a 1-2 finish for Carroll. Again, both of them juniors. And then those two helped Carroll win the 200 freestyle relay and the 400 freestyle relay. Still finished the distance second to Carmel. And in diving, Adeline Fleschner, a senior from North Central, is your state champion. High school wrestling semi-states, Delta won its 11th semi-state championship and 3rd straight on Saturday at Fort Wayne War Memorial Coliseum. Ever been there, Susie?
I have a time or two.
Easily topping runner-up North Miami and 3rd place Belmont. Locally, Cowan was 12th, Western and Yorktown tied for 17th, Marion was 20th, Madison Grant 28th, I've been there, and Oak Hill was 30th. Delta champions, freshman at 106 pounds, Carson Kalakamo. Cade Jackson, a senior, won at 113 pounds. Sophomore Reed Wicker was the 120-pound champion. Junior Jensen Boyd at 132, and junior Samuel Mosier at 144, just one of those seniors. Only one other local champion, that was Cowan senior Jackson Bradley, who's now 43-1 on the year. He beat Eastside's Lincoln Carter 4-3 in the championship at 157 pounds. Also, congratulations to one of my students at Madison Grant. Grady Hazley is headed to state at 132 pounds. New Pal finished second to Cathedral at the Newcastle Semistate. Noblesville was 7th, Rossville 8th, Hamilton Southeastern 9th. Fishers was 11th, Lawrence North 12th, and Westfield 13th. Local champions were unbeaten Westfield sophomore Connor Maddox at 106. New Pal senior Gunnar Butt, now 37-1 at 150 pounds, and his junior teammate William Gleasing is 36-0 after taking the 285-pound title. Rossville senior Jacob Weaver is 47-0 after winning at 157 pounds, and his senior teammate Jacob Cole is 46-1 after winning at 175. Noblesville junior Aiden Kincaid is 37-0 after 4 pins at 165 pounds. He only spent 3 minutes and 23 seconds on the mat all day in 4 matches. Crown Point won at East Chicago and Center Grove at Evansville. And the girls basketball regionals on Saturday. Most of our interest was in Class 2A, and Lapel defeated defending semi-state champion Rensselaer Central 63-42 at Lapel. Not surprised that Lapel beat them. Surprised that they beat them by 21 points. The amazing Laniah Wills, 22 points and 19 more rebounds. The state's all-time leader now heads to the semi-state with clearly a very good team. Addie Bodenhorn added 18 points, and Layla Dawson had 7 assists. More on this game with Grant in a few minutes. And Oak Hill defeated Alexandria 39-35 at Marion. Much more on this one from Grant, who was there to cover that regional for us. So this coming Saturday at Frankfort, it will be 22-4 Lapel against 23-2 Bremen at 10 a.m., followed by number 1 Whitco against 22-3 Oak Hill. Can't wait for that semi-state. More on that one again with Grant Shouse coming up. And in the South, Heritage Christian defeated Union County 71-30. The 19-8 Eagles now face 19-7 Park Heritage in the first game at Greencastle. That's at 10 a.m. on Saturday, followed by 18-7 Eastern Pekin against 19-6 North Knox. In Class 3A, number 1 Roncalli held off Cathedral 52-50. Down south in Class 3A at Southport, it'll be the 25-3 Royals against 20-6 Northview at noon, followed by 22-4 Washington against 19-6 Jennings County. This semi-state was supposed to be at Jennings County, but because the Panthers are in it, it had to be moved, and it'll now be played at Southport. In the North in Class 3A, Connorsville beat Mechaniquah 55-30. Ireland Kyle had 12 points for the Braves in the loss. She's going to have a big senior year next year. In the North at Logansport, it'll be 20-7 Connorsville against 20-6 Fairfield in the second game at the semi-state at Logansport, following 22-3 Belmont against 22-5 Culver Academy. I've been there. In Class 4A, unbeaten Center Grove beat Pendleton Heights 50-45. Grayson Gilliard, 27 points for the Trojans. Down south at Jasper in the semi-state, it'll be 26-0 Center Grove against 27-2 Wrights, and 23-3 Floyd Central against 21-4 Lawrence Central. I guess Lawrence Central with 4 losses is the slacker in that one. Okay. 22-5 McCutcheon upset Hamilton Southeastern 53-36 at Frankfort and faces 20-7 Northridge at 10 at LaPorte. That's followed by 23-4 Crown Point against 2-time reigning 3A champion Norwell. The Knights are 23-4. Class A down south in Charlestown, it's 22-4 Borden against 19-6 Evansville Christian, and 16-10 Greenwood Christian against 17-5 Tinley. Safe to say the defending champion Borden Braves are the heavy favorite in that one. And North Miami defeated Fountain Central 40-36. The 18-8 Warriors face 22-4 Elkhart Christian at 10. And Monroe Central defeated Carroll 51-50 behind. So it'll be the 21-2 Bears against 26-2 Fremont at noon at Huntington. Again, more on that with Grant on the Sunday Conversation right now. Welcome to the Sunday Conversation. Today's guest, Grant Shouse. Grant was at Marion on Saturday to cover the Marion Regional, 2A, Oak Hill, and Alexandria, two of the teams we love most. And here to tell us about it, he's also going to talk about the matchups for next Saturday at the Semistate. Welcome, Grant, and a couple of good ones on Saturday.
Yeah, the first game was a nice appetizer for Oak Hill, Alexandria. Carroll and Monroe Central, two good teams. That game really started off slow. Didn't even have a basket made until the 3:38 mark of the first quarter. It took that long to get a basket. Once both teams really settled in, it became a good game. Monroe Central got up as much as almost 10. They got up as big as 8 at one point. Carroll came back. Monroe Central then built up the lead again, and then Monroe Central had a lot of chances to put that game away and just could not hit free throws, missed a lot of free throws. Carroll actually got a huge and one and a chance to make it a 2-point game, I think, and they ended up making the free throw. Or no, they made it a 1-point game. Sorry, they made it a 1-point game. It was 51-50. They put on some pressure. They actually forced Monroe Central to turn the ball over. And they turned the ball over, and Carroll got the ball back with 5 seconds to go, called a timeout, and drew up a play that could have won the game. Carroll got the ball, and it was trying to get something kind of a dive towards the rim. And because they had the ball on the baseline, and they threw it to their guard, and she drove in. And as she's driving in with about 4 seconds, lost the handle. All of the Carroll team stands around and watches the ball roll away. No desire to go after the ball, and just watched it roll there. And Monroe Central picked it up. Time expired. Next thing you know, the entire students are on the floor. The team's on the floor. Head coach Brock Morrison, loved the passion. Actually, funny enough, reminded me of Bryant Haynes. Just he looked like Bryant Haynes for some reason. I don't even know how to explain it. But horn went off. He threw his clipboard in the air, went flying up through the air. He ran on the floor, was pumping fists. The Carroll girls, of course, were devastated, and rightfully so. It was a really fun game. It was a well played tournament basketball game, and Monroe Central, kind of a great story here, Greg. We're only 10 girls on the entire roster. I'm not sure if they had a JV this year, but they only had 10 that dressed for the regional championship, and you're allowed to dress 12. And once you get to the regional, most, if not every team dresses 12, and they only dressed 10. So kind of a thin bench. Students were out in full force. It was a good crowd, great support from Monroe Central, and just a fun game. And Monroe Central won their first regional championship in school history.
Nice. And now, who are they playing next, Grant?
They will be taking on the Fremont Eagles. That game will be at Huntington North at noon on Saturday. North Miami is the other game. They will be taking on Elkhart Christian at 10 o'clock in the morning. Actually, the Action Sports Network will be there to cover that one. My dad, Brad Shouse, is on the call with John Hines. That'll be at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday up there at Huntington for North Miami Elkhart Christian. I know we'll talk about it a little more later, but Monroe Central and Fremont are going to play at noon. And Fremont, number 3 in the state. I wasn't really convinced about them all season looking at their schedule, but they just beat number 1 and a lot of people's state champion pick, Marquette Catholic, in the regional championship yesterday at Jimtown. They won by double digits. And so that was really impressive. That was really surprising to me. So the 1A North, I think, is really wide open. 1A South is it's interesting when you get Evansville Christian and you get Greenwood Christian and Indianapolis Tinley and Borden are all getting together there at Charlestown to play in that 1A semi-state. I think the 1A tournament is really wide open right now on who can win it. I think Fremont is probably the new favorite after beating Marquette Catholic, and wouldn't be shocked if maybe you saw Fremont Borden 1A state championship, which I hope is the case. I'm big on the public schools playing in those kind of games where the community's going to be out and supporting that one. Fremont would bring a lot of people. Borden would probably bring a lot of people. Again, a lot of cart before the horse here, but wouldn't be shocked if that was your matchup. But I think the field is still pretty wide open in 1A.
Mike Hutsell is listening here, and he said he'd have nothing to say on this, but I bet he does now.
They'll bring the whole town, but you got to understand that's 43 people. And 20 of them are related to head coach Matt Vick. So
that's right.
Yeah. They will have to shut down Sandy's Custom Cakes for one day at least, but
that's great.
And I'm a Borden guy, man. My kid is in the same school district as Borden Henryville, but I'm just saying, man, don't count on like an economic boon for the city of Indianapolis if you're relying on Borden travel.
Hey, when their boys won the state championship, it was a nice crowd, man.
The girls won it last year. This is like old news in Borden. It's a rerun. Right. All right, I'm jumping off.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, Mike. Now let's talk about the game that we were most interested in. And, of course, that's two CIC teams going head-to-head. And Oak Hill won a thriller that Alexandria has to feel like got away.
No doubt got away from Alexandria. They held Oak Hill to 6 points in the third quarter. This was a rematch of the CIC championship that you and I, Greg, saw in person a few weeks ago down at Alexandria. And a lot of things went wrong in that first game for Alec. Just the defense Oak Hill played was just incredible. Forcing turnovers, they knocked down shots. Cora Pond was huge in that game, in that first matchup for Oak Hill where she hit 5 threes. They just really controlled that. And it was a weird day for Alexandria. It was a Thursday. They were out of school that day due to it was that week with just the horrible weather. I just don't think Alexandria was prepared the first time they played Oak Hill. This time they were prepared. But I can tell you this, in the first 8 minutes of the game, they did not look prepared.
Hey, Grant, let me tell you a little secret. Mickey Hosier's a pretty good coach.
You're telling me that like it's a secret, but that's a pretty well-known fact. That guy can coach.
You knew they were going to turn around a little bit, didn't you?
Oh, I wasn't shocked the game was the way it was. And I thought Mickey and Jared Borif, his assistant, I thought that whole staff really had a nice game plan for Oak Hill. Kind of speed it up a little bit. Oak Hill wanted to slow it down just a hair. Alec wanted to speed it up. Oak Hill really played they had a great start to the game. They jumped out 10-0. They were up 10-4 at the end of the first quarter. Alec came back. They knocked down shots. Alec won the second, third quarter, and most of the fourth quarter too. This is one that no question got away from Alexandria. Oak Hill, the defense got riled back up. The two bigs, Morgan Cates, Brianna Daly, the Twin Towers. You got two underclassmen down there for Oak Hill that are over 6 foot and are athletic, especially Bree Daly. They had a really nice game. Wide open steals, turned layups. Erica Newhouse, one of their guards, was big down the stretch for Oak Hill as well. And they hit free throws, and they won 39-35. Alexandria was down 3 with under 20 seconds to go. had the ball, came down, were running trying to run a play. I think what hurt Ellick is they had no timeouts on that last possession. They had no timeouts. So Mickey couldn't draw anything. Grace Wood got the ball on the wing and traveled. They called her for a travel, which gave the ball back to Oak Hill. They had to foul. Oak Hill went 1 for 2 at the line. Again, Ellick still had a timeout, so has to come down and try and hoist a 3. And Layla Dietzer did everything she could to get a 3 and try and draw a foul. Just didn't happen, and Oak Hill wins their 6th regional championship in school history, the first under Carrie Barkham. Todd Law, of course, was the coach there for a long time and won 3 regional championships in the mid-2000s, won another regional championship in 2017. They went to the state that year, lost to Eastern Pekin in the state championship. Came back in 2019, 2 years later, won another regional, ended up winning the state championship. They just won their first regional championship in 7 years. So now the draw for Oak Hill in the semi-state is not easy. They're going to play Whitco in the semi-state first round over at Frankfort. Whitco, I would imagine, will be the heavy favorites. They're a great team. They are just filled with stars all across the board. They're going to be a tough out for anyone who's going to have to play them in potentially their next 3 games. So Oak Hill's going to have its hands full, but I'm happy for the old alma mater. I hope they can get it done over there at Frankfort next Saturday.
Hey, Grant, Lapel also won. They dominated the defending semi-state champion Rensselaer Central. And another secret, in case people don't know, Laniah Wills is really good.
Yeah, she just became the state's all-time leading rebounder. She is going from a Lapel Bulldog to a Butler Bulldog. If you would have told me before that Lapel Rensselaer game that Lapel would beat Rensselaer, I wouldn't be shocked, but I would be shocked that they won by over 20 points. That, to me, is just impressive. Coach Newby's done a great job these last few years, took that team to a state championship. They have played really good basketball here the last 4 years, and Laniah Wills has been the engine of that offense, and just the way she impacts on both ends of the floor. They're good. But again, when you look at Whitco, like we just talked about with Oak Hill, if Lapel and Whitco match up in that semi-state championship, it's just a matchup problem for Lapel because Whitco's got the length, they've got the strength, they've got the shooters. I think it'd be a tough game for Lapel, but credit to Lapel and Coach Newby and his staff for what they've done with this program the last 4 or 5 years.
Whitco is the favorite, no doubt.
No doubt about it. They've got these 2 sisters, Jama Stonebreaker, Reese Stonebreaker, great players. They've got a nice post player in Allie Brown. There's a couple others that their top 6 would start on any other team in the state. So they're fun to watch too. Just their defense is really good, but their offense is just even better. And I had a coach tell me a few weeks ago that offense sells tickets, defense wins games, but rebounding wins championships. And Whitco can do all 3 of those things, and they're going to put that all on display here, I expect, in the next 2 Saturdays.
Grant Shouse, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
Thanks for listening. My friends and I will be back tomorrow. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media And I love Susie. Susie, I'm 3 minutes late.